and that's a great question because, I mean, I think, in this country and in Western culture, kind of the late 50s and the 60s, all of a sudden meditation started coming into the culture. And then all of a sudden there was this big yoga movement in the 60s and 70s, and yoga just boomed. So people could do that. And, that is, coming from a culture of not focusing on consciousness or meditation, but doing more either prayer or ritual if people were involved in religion, or more secular, mental, intelligent thought practices. That this kind of deeper consciousness, starting with the body, is easier because it's like sports or walking, or so then you start stretching and you start doing these bottom-up practices from breath, calming your nervous system, and then sometimes in yoga doing 5 minutes at the end of meditation, as kind of the last few seconds. And then a bunch of the Westerners, particularly Jack Kornfield, Joseph Goldstein, Sharon Salzberg, and others, went off to the Theravada or insight meditation countries of Burma, Thailand, and Sri Lanka, where I also went to Sri Lanka and did some of that. And so that approach within Buddhism emphasizes starting with one-pointed attention, watching your breath, and then moving to kind of being aware of the contents of consciousness and noticing the insights that I'm not my thoughts. There's no solid small self that is me. It's actually process. And then doing practices, calming practices and positive thinking of loving kindness, sending it to others. Those are pretty, certainly watching your breath and loving kindness are not so far from everyday life. As soon as you go further into consciousness, it's another map. And so this map that people can experience right away, but they don't know how to make sense of it. So, in the Mahamudra map, there's this awake consciousness, there's just kind of awareness that isn't attention, that isn't from your mind focused on objects or contents of consciousness, but it is actually feels like an open field of awareness that you're not only aware of, but you're resting as, and then you're aware from, and then you're actually even feel as if there's not two things between the awareness and the experience. They feel like more ocean and waves that make you feel interconnected. And there's a safety there. So that map, or it's just a little like, what is that? Wait a minute. I never heard about that in philosophy or psychology, even in the West. So I think it's newer. I'm trying to, because I came from insight, started with Zen actually, and then went to insight meditation, and then this more direct path. I use the word effortless mindfulness to try to build on traditional or conventional mindfulness, because you can start there. And in the Tibetan system, these practices of, shamatha, which is watching your breath, and loving kindness are calm practices, so that you do start there, even in the traditional Tibetan. And then you go to insight, seeing that the solid self is not solid. But then the next moves of effortless mindfulness are added to. As soon as you can calm and as soon as you have a sense of insight, you go right to, well, then if I'm not this self, what am I? You don't get left in the gap of just deconstructing and becoming no self. You begin to immediately feel with awareness a kind of safe, intelligent, more open awareness that most people feel when they're doing things they love, when they're in the flow or in the zone, dancing, playing music, walking. They drop out of their ego, they feel connected to everything, but they're looking out. So they don't realize that it's not about high functioning only, it's not about good feelings only, but it's because that activity is a doorway that shifts you into the already awake consciousness, whose natural qualities are joy and even functioning. So not focus so much on retreating, sitting quietly, eyes closed, because that can give you initial insights, but then it's about living an awake life that is possible for all of us, at least through these small glimpses, and you can start to feel how different they are. So these, I think it's going to become, I'm trusting that I'm kind of slowly walking this, like, okay, let's just keep talking about it and saying, yes, that's really good, and try this and try this. If you like this, that's great. But here's another option to go directly in the middle of your day, more immediate and more optimally functioning with eyes open. So hopefully that will, those who are drawn to that or it works with well will start to